Hey, what's up puzzle lovers, and welcome back to the series Get to Know a Puzzler. In this series, I meet puzzlers from around the world and ask them a few questions to get to know them better. In today's episode, I met Brent, aka Fivesinatras, an American puzzle blogger. I hope you will enjoy this episode and learn more about one of your favorite mechanical puzzle bloggers. Let's get into it. Hello Brent, how are you doing?
Hey, good to see you again.
Yes, good to see you once again, and it's a good opportunity to know you more because this time it's not a puzzle quiz. I hope we will know more about you and about your side as a puzzle collector. Before we start with some questions, would you like to quickly introduce yourself? Where are you from? Which country? What do you do?
I'm Brent. I'm sometimes known as Fivesinatras. It's my Discord name, and I have a puzzle blog review site called Fivesinatras.com. But my actual name is Brent, and I'm from the US. I live in Nashville. I've been collecting puzzles for a few years, really in earnest the past few years, when I started genuinely collecting, boxes and take aparts and locks. In the past year or two, that's expanded to include interlocking and packing puzzles and sliders and dexterity and whatever else may interest me. Although boxes and take aparts, I guess, are still my main things. And I don't know, with the puzzle blog, obviously this is not what I do professionally, unfortunately. It is, I suppose, my passion, my hobby, my interest. So most of my time that I'm not with my family or working is pretty much spent playing with puzzles, solving puzzles, looking for puzzles, talking about puzzles, writing about puzzles.
Yeah, I guess you must love writing reviews about stuff, and since you love puzzles, it was a good combination.
Yeah, it's fun to write, and I started it before the Discord group had started, and so then I really didn't have friends who collected puzzles, and my wife, has a pretty much bare interest in it, like that's nice, babe, kind of thing. So it was a good outlet to just sort of ramble and rant, and starting out, the old school puzzle blogs that are still around and some that aren't around were just such great resources, and I love them so much, and I still do. So I thought, hey, maybe I can kind of throw my hat in the ring, and maybe some folks would find it useful or entertaining or whatever. So I've had fun doing it.
In the first episode of this series, I answered some fun puzzle-related questions. And I thought it would be nice to find out your answers to the same questions. So we can start with some basic questions. First question is, how did you get into puzzling?
I mean, I've always been into gaming and riddles and things like that, since I was a kid. I think kind of what happened was more just learning that mechanical puzzles like this existed. It was just not something that was on my radar. Had I known there were these things out there, I probably would have been collecting them my whole life. But, a few years ago, I was sort of on Pinterest a lot and collecting pictures of secret spaces and hidden rooms and houses and things like that. And it sort of led me down a rabbit hole that eventually brought me to the Wisteria Cabinet by Robert Yarger and Craig Thibodeau. And that just blew my mind open. And from there, I was off. From there, I discovered Karakuri, and then it was just done. And that's pretty much been my life since then.
So then, what are your favorite types of mechanical puzzle?
Definitely puzzle boxes are my beginning and my end, I suppose. And not my end, but boxes and take aparts generally. I mean, sequential discovery, blocks, coin release, things like that. I really like the idea of just there being some hidden secret that you can't see, and that you have to use, critical thinking and trial and error to sort of ascertain what the maker was thinking when you're first looking at it. You just have no idea what it might contain. It's really the only medium in which I think an artist can truly do that. It just differs from things like movies or books or whatever in that sense. So boxes, I suppose, would be my number one.
Yeah, that's really cool. I find it very interesting also in puzzling that you have something close and you need to discover what it might contain. As a sequential discovery puzzle, you will find kind of price and try to have this kind of approach and thinking to try to discover what the designer of this puzzle thought when he made this puzzle. That's an amazing and quite addictive hobby, actually. So since you like to kind of find out what the designer thought when you was making this puzzle? Do you have a favorite puzzle designer?
I mean, I would hate to limit that. Certainly, I mean, Robert Yarger, Stickman, was one of the first ones that I had discovered, and I still, I mean, love his work. Obviously they're not super easy to get your hands on. I have a few of them, and I love them, and I'd love to get more. He's also just a super, super nice guy, which is always great. And that's just true generally in the puzzle community. Most people are just really pretty chill and nice, and Rob is certainly among them. But, you know, Eric Fuller, Kel Snake, Jesse Bourne, the Karakuri group has, you know, so many great people, Kame, Iwahara, Kawashima. There's so many. I mean, like, and then there's also makers like Tom Lynch, who isn't as prolific, but I mean, almost anything that I'll have the chance to get of his, I'll be like, yes, sir, you know, sure. Even if I haven't heard of it, all right, let's try it. You know, I'm sure it's going to be good. Yeah, so there's a lot of folks out there, I think, that are making puzzles that are really good. Yeah,
there are a lot, too many designers.
Yeah, there are, and there's so many new ones coming out too, which is just awesome.
That's true. So, is there maybe among all the puzzles around there, is there one that you dream of having, but you don't have yet, and you wish you could?
Aside from the Wisteria cabinet, yeah, there's a lot of unicorn puzzles like the Apothecary, or these things that, you know, are so unlikely to get. But there's a couple pieces by Ninomiya, like his desk diary. I have this weird fixation on office themed puzzle boxes from the Karakuri group. I have a couple, and I love the desk diary, the look of that. But Stickman has several that I would just, you know, drop everything to get if I could. You look at old IPP, International Puzzle Party years, and you see just some amazing releases that, you know, are really hard to get your hands on. And there's certainly some that if they were ever to pop up at auction, I'd, you know, do my best. Which is, I guess, a long way of saying, yes, there's lots of puzzles that I'd like to have.
And so, earlier on, you were mentioning that when you started puzzling, you didn't really have friends who puzzled, but maybe along your journey, did you meet someone that you are sharing this passion with?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Discord group has been just really such a great thing. And Reddit too, and I mean, I don't really do social media much. And, you know, I hadn't been on Facebook in years. And a couple years ago, I sort of reactivated my profile purely for cyberstalking puzzle makers. And so I definitely have friends now through the world of social media, and I've become, you know, friends with some of the makers and designers and such too. But the timing with COVID in the past, you know, year or so has made it difficult to actually see people in person, other than the occasional like virtual puzzle party or something like that. If and when things sort of get back to normal, I look forward to, we had some plans for a party in Chicago and maybe here in Nashville down the road. So it'd be cool to like meet some people in person.
And so before we move on to the next section, I'm quite curious, why did you choose Frank Sinatra as a rating for your puzzles?
Yeah, it's arbitrary. I'll admit that, sort of. I mean, one of my first internet handles from, I mean, years ago, you know, 25 years ago or something, when I was like a young teenager, was Fivesinatras, and it was just like a joke. The idea being like, what's cooler than one Sinatra? Fivesinatras. So kind of the joke. And when I thought about starting a blog a couple years ago, it just like popped up in my head as a name, and I just thought it was funny. You know, it's the thing about when you start something with a joke, you're kind of stuck with that joke forever now. Yeah. But like, whatever. It's a, you know, a grading system that I don't take very seriously. And it's also to remind myself and anyone else that like, we're really doing this because it's fun. I mean, ultimately, we are pretty much all adults playing with really expensive, really pretty toys.
So for the next section then, I will ask you to identify a puzzle from your collection, and you can show us if you have it with you. So then, the first question is your favorite puzzle so far.
That's a killer question. I had a feeling you were gonna ask that. I'm like, no. I mean, Of course, my answer would probably have to be the Secretum, I'm probably mispronouncing it, the Secretum Sista by Jesse Bourne, the puzzle chest.
Okay.
It's downstairs because it's like enormous, but that's not to say there aren't others. I mean, this one here, the UFO, EWE UFO by Kel Snake. This is a take apart, it wouldn't technically be a puzzle box per se because you completely disassemble it, but it's like a little spaceship. You have these little sheep that you're helping to, launch and escape from this farmer. There's like a whole story to it, but it's just a really beautiful, really complex puzzle that just, discrete steps, tons of tools, really fun.
Kel Snatch really makes amazing looking puzzles. I saw few of his puzzles and they are always so unique, and really the work he put into it is amazing. So then, as a second question, which puzzle did you not enjoy solving?
Oh, I don't want to say. Okay, well, I will say B-Box by Jean-Claude Constantine. It's kind of my go-to answer for a puzzle that I do not recommend. I try generally not to say negative stuff, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all kind of thing. So on my site, I don't review puzzles if I don't like them. Not to say if I didn't review it, it doesn't mean I didn't like it.
So you have a lot of puzzles, we can see a bit of them on your shelf, and is there a puzzle that you cannot solve?
Oh dude, yeah, I've got several puzzles that are stuck in various states of, mid-solve. I'd say I have Pachinko has been sitting there, I'm 2/3 of the way through and I'm sort of at this wall and just have not been able to push my way through. Triple yoke, I'm towards the end of that as well, and also been stuck at a wall for a little while now that it's generally the take aparts, things like that I have some interlocking puzzles by Alphonse Aikmans and things like that I haven't finished solving yet. But that's more, those sometimes are kind of fidget puzzles. I'll be watching a movie with my wife and I'll sit there, playing with it or whatever.
Yeah, so I guess each person will have an easier time with one type than another.
And that's always the case with puzzles. There's some puzzles that I'll solve in a minute and other people will be like, what the hell's going on with this thing? And that doesn't happen as often. More likely other people solve it in a minute and I don't know what the hell's going on with it. But sometimes I actually solve it quickly too.
So then, the next question is, which puzzle took you the longest to solve?
Dark Fairy Door took me quite a long time. I mean, I guess if you have to try to think of it, in my mind, I'm thinking it less in terms of how many months, the actual time sitting in front of the puzzle solving it. Not so much the time it sat there waiting for me to come back to it. In that sense, Dark Fairy Door might be the one that took me the longest. There's just a lot going on, a lot of dead ends, so I just was getting lost right and left in that thing. Yeah. So you can see it's big, it's heavy. Every face is another, and yeah, they're all different. And there's a lot going on.
Are there puzzles that you are solving right now?
Yeah, the ones that I just got a couple from Alphonse, a couple recent. I just solved Dracula. I have to reassemble it still. So Steps I started working on this morning. Triple Yoke I'm actively trying to solve, and Tenchi by Frederic Boucher and made by Eric Fuller is also on my active shelf. Very lost on that one, but we'll get there, maybe.
Do you have a puzzle that you want to solve before the year ends?
I want to, ultimately all of them I'd like to solve. I think that the puzzle probably that's most on my mind that I really want to get to the end of is Triple Yoke, because it's a great puzzle. It's very cool, and I have an idea of where it needs to go. The ones that stick with me and keep bringing me back are generally the take-aparts. But I'll have puzzle trays and stuff that, I'll sit and play with in front of the TV, and there's a couple that I'm still stuck on. Again, it's supposed to be fun, the whole thing is supposed to be fun, and I've had times in the past where I found myself feeling like stressed out, you know, oh my God, I haven't solved this yet. And this puzzle costs so much money, and it's, how can I just let it sit there unsolved? And eventually I realized, like, you know, this is supposed to be fun. If I'm not enjoying it, then why am I doing it? You know, it's not worth it. So, and even great puzzles, sometimes you can get to a point where it's frustrating and you're like, oh, so you just put it down and come back to it and it's fun again.
That's true. That's true. You should enjoy and take your time solving a puzzle. So, the last question of this section 2. A puzzle that you recommend to complete beginners.
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, let's see. I'm going to assume in the answer that one, something like under $200 and something that might actually be like available readily. Danlock is a great like starter, like a solid like starter puzzle. It's hard to recommend a puzzle box because they're just generally not available. So I'm trying to think of like, you know, 20-cent box is a good starter box that's generally available and easy to get. That's a lot of fun, not like too hard. Barcode Burr is a really fun one if you want a very different kind of puzzle, and those are regularly available on Etsy from Pacific Puzzle Works.
If anyone wants to start puzzling, they know where to start. And before we move on to the next section, I have a question. Have you ever rated a puzzle more than 5 Sinatras?
Yeah, I gave the I never know how to say it, like Secretum Sista, I think. Secretum Sista. Yeah. I gave that a Presley, an Elvis Presley, which was my, you know, the one thing better than 5 Sinatras would be a Presley. So yeah, that got the much lauded Presley Award.
Now it is time to see more of your collection. Maybe you would like to give us a little tour of your room.
While most of my puzzles are upstairs, I do have a couple large ones down here. There's the Jesse Bourne's Secretum Sista puzzle cabinet, which is, you know, awesome and very cool. And this here is Tomasz Garonsky, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, who is a custom box maker. So this is one of a kind called Egyptian Catacombs. Most of my puzzles are in my puzzle room, or reluctantly called home office, but I do have some on display here in the family room. Some Karakuri, some D. Dixon, one of the original slideways over here. I got Wood Wonders, Cubic Dissection. This is a Tom Lynch. Some Roger D's, so I'm still working on. This is one of the original Where's My Hammers from pre-cubic dissection. You can see there's more, you know, woods on top, and nice. There's actually a surprise inside as well that I think he stopped including. These books are actually secret books. This one's got a secret in there too. I've got little things hidden around the house like that. This is Bill Sheckel's Art Deco puzzle clock, which mine has a unique feature in that when you turn it over there, it opens the way to my aforementioned puzzle room / disaster of a home office. And starting over here, I've got some playing card puzzles by Eric Stevens and a number of things from Bill Sheckel, some books. This one's Baffling Bolted, a book by Lewis Coulin. Then let's see, we've got a bunch of Romble puzzles, Tower of London, Casino, Keith Weingar's Capital Politics in the back, then a number of puzzles by Alphonse Aikmans and some various states of perpetual mid-solution. Some more stuff. This is Jesse Bourne's Jack in the Box. Got Brandon Wolf's Ansel. Then my Sandfield Dovetails, some by Kathleen Malcolmson, like this one that I love. Some Jerry McFarlane puzzles, you know, Burlefant. Could you keep if you've never seen this one? This is cool. All the kind of chain reaction there. Getting down here, got a bunch of my metal stuff, some Revo mazes, Excalibur and Pac-Man, my T12, my Billard, got some Robrecht Louage here. Wishing Well is an amazing puzzle, love this one. Come over here and got a bunch of Lego puzzles that I've built. by Lego Maniac, Cheat 3. This is Slow Dance. Jeff Lieberman, an old friend of mine, actually designed that. It's really cool. It makes the feathers look like they're dancing in slow-mo when it's on. That I think Andrew Parr's Grandpa's Gramophone. That's got some really cool mechanisms to it. Coming down, we get into Cubic Dissection. Guess got Resident Q there. Super happy about that. Whole bunch of stuff. Some of it, not quite solved as Bourbon. Let's see, a lot of Cubic Dissection. Obviously, love Eric's work. The Pirate Lock from Stickman, which Eric reproduced. And really, I love that puzzle. Such a great little puzzle. Got 3 of the Havana boxes. Looking for number 1, if anyone's got one. Then we get into Karakuri. Kame's 3 sticks, just got that recently. Rock, paper, scissors is a real fun one. Of course, the classic coffee cup. My tape dispenser and back. I like the office supply themed Karakuri for whatever reason. Then getting into Juno and Pluredro, number things. We got Slam Car. 2 of these. We'd love to get Club and Heart to round that out, as well as lots of other Juno Quartetics. Yeah, I'd love to get those. Got some Stephen Baumegger puzzle box that I made in a box making course. Then let's see, I've got Dark Fairy Door here by Tracy Clemens. This is a big ol' heavy puzzle, a lot going on there. Puzzle Like Pastures, also by Kelsnake. Some Stephen Chin puzzles. His work is so beautiful. This pen is a lot of fun. Got Butterfly Box by Kagan Sound, which is just, gorgeous, really. My Dwemer box, which, this thing is so cool. These little pistons coming out and stuff. Really enjoy that one. It's a very cool design by Robert Yarger. Jesse's Sea Chest, another cool one. This one I got recently by Ryan Eubanks, which is his Sideswiper, which is, this thing is just amazing, dude. Really cool puzzle, a lot of fun. Mystery Trapper, another great Tracy design, real big, lots going on. Triple Yoke, Freemy 6 back there. This is another Kelsnake UFO, which is really, probably one of my favorite designs that I have. I think it's such a cool puzzle. Tipperary Mystery Tour by Jack Krishnan, Then another Benno Batson Mayan box, which I still have not fully solved. This is a cool design. This is the box of Celts by Matt McGee, Numbskull Puzzles. Really fun. I'm doing a write-up of this now. There's so much going on in this thing.
I guess then the next question will be quite straightforward. If you're like a puzzle hoarder or are you a recycler?
I was a hoarder for a while, and now I would call myself a collector. There's certain kinds of puzzles that I generally, I hang on to. My goal is to collect. I like collecting. I resolve most of my boxes and Karakuri. I'll resolve them, here and there. I'll pick one up and just solve it again, or some of the more complex ones. What I found myself hoarding were puzzles that, smaller puzzles or puzzles that aren't as hard to get, and I was just consuming them. They were so I started trying to give away more or sell some, or give them to the Discord group or the friends, or trade them or whatever, so that I wasn't just hanging on to every single puzzle that came my way. So it opened up a little bit of space also, which is nice. But for the most part, I like my puzzles. I like having them here. I like looking at them. Yeah, and they're fun too. If I have someone over, my wife laughs because if we ever have a contractor to the house or someone who needs to do some work, pretty much almost every time they'll end up in here with me showing them the puzzles, because they're always like, "What is that?" They see something downstairs, "Oh, what's that weird giant lock that's sitting on this shelf?" And it's "Oh, did you ask what that is?" I should have business cards with the Discord group invite code on it or something to hand out.
You like to solve puzzles, but do you like to solve one puzzle at a time? So are you a puzzle monogamist, or a polygamist?
I'm definitely a polygamist. If I get something new, and obviously I'll typically sit down and start focusing on it. But if I can't solve it in the first hour, then it might get put aside for me to come back later. And it just depends. I mean, some puzzles you're able to get in one sit through, some might take several. Again, like, it's supposed to be fun, so I don't want to impose some rule on myself to say like, oh, you can't leave a puzzle unfinished. You need to go back, you need to solve that. It's like, well, no, I'll solve it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll solve it when I solve it. Like, screw you, mind. I'll do what I want.
So we can end these questions with two final questions. They are more hypothetical questions to end the quiz. And so the first one is, if you are given $100 to buy a puzzle, which one would you get?
Probably, well, there's a couple things from Diniar Namdarian that he makes, like these plastic puzzles, some of the sliders and stuff I have. He has a couple designs that he's working on that I want to get, but I'm just waiting. Because of shipping, he's where he is, it makes sense to get more at a time. But he has a few things that I would definitely, like, if someone said you have to get it now or you can't get it, I'd get it now.
Okay.
So that's probably a good answer of someone who has puzzles available. That or Yavuz Demirhan on Etsy's Cubozone TR on Etsy. He just released a few designs on his Etsy shop that I think I might pick up a couple. I have a few of his, and one is like a sequel to a puzzle I have, and a couple they're like little packing puzzles. So those, I think, are probably two people that generally have stuff available and are not super expensive. Going back to the question earlier about what would you recommend to beginners, those are two really good people.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. It's good to have like a lot of good puzzles that are available for everyone to buy.
I mean, the Discord group, we have a lot of that, I think, to help new people kind of come into the puzzling world, because I think it can feel pretty intimidating if you don't know anything about it and you come in and it's like, oh my God, what is all these crazy people who like are obsessed with it and, filling the rooms with puzzles. But there's actually, there's a lot of easier to get, accessible stuff that's not so expensive and is still really fun.
So we can move on to our final question. If you can go to another country to buy puzzles, where would you go?
Oh, I'm going to Japan. I'm going to go to Hakone.
Yeah.
I think it's how you pronounce it, Hakone, Japan. So that's where the Karakuri group is. I'm going to go to their museum. That or wherever the International Puzzle Party is, if it's somewhere else. But of course, I'm not actually a member, so I don't know where it's going to be. Boo-hoo. One day, hopefully. That's one of my goals, is to eventually go stalk the IPPs. Once they start having them again, I'll go hang out outside and bang on the window like in The Graduate, let me in. But yeah, Japan, I think I would love to go see the workshop and go see the museum out there.
Yeah, I think it would be amazing to meet the designers of Karakuri Group. Well, Brent, thank you for sharing, and I hope that you will be able to visit this place soon once all this pandemic is over. And thank you again for your time and generously showing us your collection and sharing a little bit of yourself.
Thank you, Michael. This is awesome. I had a really good time. I hope it was entertaining for people out there. Had fun.
Thank you, you too, and see you next time.
All right,
Bye.
man. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
And that's all for today's episode. This is the last episode of the first season of Get to Know a Puzzler. I hope you are looking forward to the next season with some new questions. If you enjoy this kind of content, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe. I will see you next week for a new video. Tschüss!